Man, I'm going to make this real simple for you. I ain't special. I wasn't born with some golden DNA. I wasn't handed discipline. And I wasn't destined to be great. When people see the shit I've done, they want to believe I'm built different. They say he's just naturally tougher. He's got something I don't. That's their excuse to stay soft. The truth, I was fat as hell, broke, insecure, dumb as fucking school, and hiding from life. I stuttered when I spoke, I got bullied. I had every reason to quit on myself. But here's the difference. I decided to pay the price. I stopped running from pain, stopped pretending I wasn't weak, and I walked straight into the fire. That's why I'm here, and that's why you can be me. If you're willing to suffer the same way. Time to time, people come up and say, man, I wish I had your drive, your discipline. Shut the fuck up with wishing. Wishing never made anybody strong. You don't wish for discipline. You build it. You don't pray for drive. You bleed for it. Every morning you drag your ass out of bed when your head says, stay down. You're building drive. Every time you hit the pavement when your legs are screaming, you're building discipline. You don't get these things handed to you. You earn them rep by rep, mile by mile, day by day. People want the end result. The body, the mindset, the respect. But they don't want the price tag. And that's why they'll never get it. This shit ain't free. The question is never, can I be like him? The question is, am I willing to pay what he paid? Man, let me paint the picture. The price isn't pretty. It's not Instagram clips and highlight reels. It's nights where you're broken, lying in your own sweat, your body screaming, your mind begging you to quit. It's eating shit over and over while nobody claps for you, nobody sees you, nobody gives a fuck. It's loneliness, it's rejection, it's waking up day after day and choosing suffering again and again. Most of you don't want that. You want comfort dressed up as progress. You want to look like you're working hard without really going all in. That's why you'll never change. Because transformation isn't about comfort. It's about burning yourself down to the ground and building back stronger. That's what I had to do. And that's what you'll have to do. Time to time, I think back on that fat kid in the mirror. The kid who lied about everything, quit on everything, and hated himself every night. That kid didn't just vanish. I had to kill him one workout at a time. Every mile, every push-up, every run in the freezing cold was a dagger in his chest. And the more I killed him, the more the savage started to rise. But he's still in there waiting. If I ever stop paying the price, he comes back. That's why I don't stop. That's why I keep stacking pain on my plate. Because weakness doesn't die. It waits. And the only way to keep it buried is to fight every single day. Man, here's the beauty of it. You don't need to be born tough, smart, or talented. And none of that shit matters. What matters is the decision to stop bullshitting yourself. It's to stop saying I can't and start proving you can. You've got to decide that suffering is your new normal. Because suffering is the only currency that buys greatness. And you want to be me. Don't look at the medals, the speeches, the books. Look at the blood, the surgeries, the broken bones, the countless lonely miles. That's the cost. And it's available to anyone who's willing to pay in full. So here's my challenge. Stop fucking wishing. Stop making excuses. Stop telling yourself some story about why you can't. You look in the mirror and own the truth. And you're weak right now and you've got work to do. That's fine. I was weak as hell too. But I decided to pay the price every damn day until I became someone new. And you can too, if you're willing to suffer, sacrifice, and bleed for it. Don't tell me you can't. Tell me if you're willing. Because if you are, you'll find out the savages in you too. Man, excuses are the slickest poison out there. They slide into your head smooth. They sound logical, and before you know it, they've robbed you blind. Time to time, you'll hear yourself saying, I don't have time today. My back hurts, I'll start Monday. That's the voice of death talking. Every time you agree with it, you hand over a piece of your potential. One excuse doesn't seem like much, but they stack. And when they stack, they bury you alive. I know because I lived in that grave for years. I told myself I was too dumb to pass tests, too fat to run, too broken to fight back. Those excuses felt safe, but really they were chains locking me into the same weak-ass life. The truth is, every excuse you make builds another wall between you and the savage version of yourself. And unless you smash those walls, you'll die trapped inside. Look, man, Time to time, people come to me with excuses dressed up like reasons. I've got kids. I've got a job. I don't have the opportunities you had. Ill shit. When I was spraying cockroaches for a living, overweight, depressed, and barely able to read, I had a mountain of excuses ready made for me. I could have hidden behind every single one. But here's the truth. Excuses don't give a fuck about fairness. They don't care about your past. They don't care about your pain. They exist for one reason: to keep you exactly where you are. And most of you defend your excuses like they're your children. You protect them, feed them, justify them, and then wonder why your life doesn't change. Stop protecting the very thing that's killing you. Time to time, I think about how many people die without ever tapping into who they really are because excuses stole their life. They'll sit on their deathbed and whisper, "I didn't have the time. I had too much on my plate. I wasn't ready." And maybe their friends and family will nod and say, "Yeah, you did the best you could." But deep down, they'll know the truth. They didn't do the best they could. They did the best their excuses allowed. And that's the saddest shit in the world. Excuses rob you of your one shot at life. You think they protect you, but they're robbing you blind. And the scariest part, they do it so quietly, you don't even notice until it's too late. Man, excuses are so deadly because they protect your ego. They let you off the hook. They say it's not your fault. You're doing your best. That's why they feel good in the moment. They soften the sting of failure. But here's the raw truth. Every time you accept an excuse, you choose weakness over growth. You choose to stay soft instead of getting hard. I had to start calling myself out. You're not tired, you're lazy, you're not too busy, you're unorganized. You're not broken, you're scared. That's what it sounds like when you stop coddling yourself. That's when you finally see the excuses for what they are. Lies. Lies that keep you fat, broke, and stuck. And the only way to kill a lie is with the truth, no matter how brutal it feels. Look, man, time to time you're going to slip. You'll hear the excuse and you'll give in. It happens. But the difference between staying weak and becoming savage is whether you let that slip become a lifestyle. The more you feed excuses, the stronger they get. The more you kill them, the weaker they get. That's why I replaced my excuses with action. When I wanted to say, "I'm too tired," I went harder. When I wanted to say, "I'm too busy," I carved the time. When I wanted to say, "I can't," I fucking proved that I could. And every time I did, I killed another excuse. That's how I built freedom. Freedom isn't found in comfort. It's found in discipline. And discipline is born the moment you stop letting excuses live in your mouth. So here's the deal, man. Excuses will always be waiting for you. They'll always have a seat at the table, but you don't have to eat with them. You can starve them. You can kill them with truth, with action, with discipline. Excuses are killing your greatness every time you let them breathe. Stop feeding them. Stop defending them. Start replacing them with work. Because once you do, you'll see how much power you've been giving away. And when you take it back, when you start living without excuses, that's when you start becoming unstoppable. Man, let me be straight with you. That voice of doubt in your head, it's never going away. Time to time, people think once they hit a goal, once they stack a few wins, they'll finally silence that motherfucker. They believe that after enough progress, they'll wake up one day with pure confidence, no fear, no hesitation. That's a lie. The doubt doesn't disappear, it evolves. It grows with you. It whispers new shit. You've done enough, you can relax, you don't have to keep pushing. And if you buy into it, you're finished. I don't care if you're a beginner or a seasoned savage, the voice of doubt never shuts the fuck up. What matters isn't killing it, because you can't. What matters is learning how to act while it's screaming in your ear. Time to time I wake up and before I even move, doubt is already talking. You're sore, man. Skip today. You've already proved yourself. Why keep running? You deserve a break. And I'll admit, that shit sounds good in the moment. Comfort always sounds good, but here's the reality. Doubt is a con artist. It sells you comfort today, but it charges you regret tomorrow. Every time you listen, you hand it control. And when doubt's in control, you slide back into being the same weak version of yourself you swore you'd kill. That fat kid in the mirror. That coward who quit on everything. Doubt is his best friend. If I don't shut it down with action, he comes back. That's why I don't debate with doubt. I don't argue. I drown it out with work. Man, the mistake most people make is they treat doubt like truth. The voice says, you can't do this, and they believe it. It says, you'll embarrass yourself, and they back off. It says, you're not ready, and they quit before they even start. And then they wonder why nothing changes. It's because they've handed the steering wheel of their life to a lying, weak-ass voice. And that voice only drives one place, straight into regret. I learned the hard way that you can't reason with doubt. You can't negotiate with it. You've got to treat it like an enemy combatant. And you hear it and then you attack. Doubt says stop. You go harder. Doubt says quit. You keep going. Doubt says you don't belong. You prove you fucking do. That's how you take the wheel back. Look, man, time to time I flip the script and use doubt as fuel. If the voice says you can't run another mile, I tell myself that means 5 more. If it says you'll fail, I say perfect, then I'll fail forward. If it says you're not smart enough, I bury myself and study until there's no question. That's how you turn the enemy into a sparring partner. Doubt isn't there to stop you. It's there to sharpen you. It's the resistance you need to push against. And without it, you'd never grow. That's why I don't hate the doubt. I welcome it. Every time it shows up, I know I've got another rep to do, another level to hit, another layer of weakness to burn off. Man, here's the truth. Even after all I've done, doubt still hits me. Before races, before speeches, before challenges that push me to the edge, it's always there. And sometimes it feels heavy as fuck. Sometimes it feels like maybe it's right. But I've trained myself to act anyway. I've built a track record of proving it wrong. That's why discipline matters so much. Every time you finish a workout, every time you push through, every time you refuse to quit, you stack proof. And that proof is your weapon. So when doubt whispers, you can hit it with a wall of evidence that says, I've already done more than this. That's how you win. Not by silencing doubt, but by making your actions louder than its lies. Here's the bottom line, man. Stop waiting for confidence. Stop waiting for fear to vanish. Stop waiting for that weak-ass voice to shut up. It won't. The voice of doubt will never shut up, but it doesn't have to. You don't need silence to move. You need action. You need discipline. You need the guts to move forward while your mind is screaming at you to stop. That's how you build a savage. That's how you build a life you can be proud of. The doubt will always be there, but so will the choice. You can obey it or you can own it. And the second you start owning it, the second you stop listening and start acting, that's the moment you take back control of your life. Man, let's kill this myth right now. Nobody's born disciplined. Nobody comes out the womb with a savage work ethic. Time to time, people look at me and say, you're just naturally wired that way. Bullshit. I wasn't wired for discipline. I was wired for comfort. I was lazy, fat, and always looking for the easy way out. The only thing I was born with was the same weak-ass instincts you've got. It's to stay safe, stay comfortable, avoid pain. Discipline wasn't in me. I had to build it brick by brick, choice by choice, day after day. That's the part people don't want to hear. They want to believe discipline is a gift because then they can excuse themselves for not having it. But the truth is, you build discipline through suffering, through consistency, through doing the shit you don't want to do until it becomes who you are. Time to time, people confuse motivation with discipline. They think because they're motivated one day, they're disciplined. Motivation is a spark. It feels good for a minute, but it burns out fast. Discipline is the fire that keeps burning even when the spark is gone. When you don't want to get up, discipline drags your ass out of bed. When your body is screaming to stop, discipline says, we keep going. Motivation fades when life punches you in the mouth. Discipline keeps swinging. That's why I don't rely on motivation. I don't wait to feel good. I built discipline by doing the work on days I felt like absolute shit, on days I wanted to quit, on days I hated myself. Those are the reps that counted. Those are the reps that built me. Man, discipline gets built in the small things first. People want to jump to the big goals. Running ultras, building empires, doing crazy shit. But if you can't control the basics, you'll never handle the big stuff. Making your bed, cleaning your space, eating clean, getting up early. These sound simple, but they're the foundation. Every time you follow through on a small commitment, you're stacking bricks. Those bricks turn into walls. Those walls become armor. That armor protects you when the big battles come. Without it, you crumble. That's why I still do the basics every day. It's not about the bed. It's not about the dishes. It's about proving to myself over and over again that I can keep my own word. That's the core of discipline. Self-respect built from consistency. Time to time, people think discipline makes you a robot. They think it strips away freedom. They don't get it. Discipline is freedom. You think freedom is sleeping in, eating what you want, doing whatever feels good. That's slavery. You're chained to comfort, chained to impulses, chained to the weak voice in your head. Real freedom is knowing you can do what you said you do, no matter what. Real freedom is owning your day instead of being owned by it. When you've built discipline, you're in control. You decide not your cravings, not your laziness, not your fear. That's power. That's freedom. That's what discipline gives you. The ability to run your life instead of your life running you. Man, I'll be real with you. Building discipline fucking sucks at first. It feels like punishment. It feels unfair. You'll want to quit 1,000 times. But over time, something changes. The suffering that felt like punishment becomes pride. The grind that felt endless becomes fuel. And you start to crave it. You start to crave the feeling of doing what you didn't want to do because you know what it means. You're winning the war against yourself. That's the shift. Discipline stops being torture and starts being identity. You stop saying, I have to do this, and you start saying, this is who I am. And once you hit that level, nothing can take it away from you. That's the savage mindset. Look, man, time to time you'll fall off. You'll miss a workout, you'll slip on a diet, you'll sleep in. Discipline isn't about being perfect. It's about getting back up and recommitting over and over until it becomes second nature. Weak people quit when they slip. Strong people use the slip as a reminder of what's at stake. I've fucked up plenty of times, but I never stayed down. I never let one bad day turn into a bad week. That's the difference. Discipline is built on recovery as much as consistency. It's the decision to keep coming back, no matter how many times you fail. That's how you build a life that can't be broken. So here's the bottom line. Discipline isn't magic. It's not genetic. It's not handed down from the heavens. It's built in the trenches. In the moments nobody sees, in the choices you make when it would be easier to quit. You want discipline. Earn it. You want control of your life. Build it. It won't feel good. It won't be easy, but it will set you free. And once you've got it, once you've built that armor, nobody can take it from you. That's the price. That's the path. Discipline is built, not given. Man, let's get this straight. Everybody out here is looking for shortcuts. They want the fast lane to success, the easy hack to greatness, the smooth road with no bumps. From time to time, they'll ask me, what's the trick? What's the secret? And I laugh because the shortcut is suffering. That's it. There's no app, no magic pill, no seminar that replaces putting yourself through hell. Pain is the path. Discomfort is the toll. You want growth, you want discipline, you want to build a savage mind, then you better fall in love with suffering because that's the only road that leads to where you want to go. The problem is most of you spend your whole life avoiding it. You dodge pain, you run from struggle, you hide from discomfort. And that's why you stay stuck. You're stuck because you're soft, and you're soft because you've never embraced suffering. From time to time, people tell me, but Goggins, suffering breaks you. Yeah, no shit. That's the point. You've got to break before you can rebuild. You've got to strip away the weak version of yourself if you want to discover the savage inside. Suffering is the hammer and the fire. It smashes you to pieces and then molds you into something new. Without it, you'll never know who the fuck you really are. You think you know yourself, but you've never seen what happens when you're exhausted, broken, bleeding, and your mind is screaming to quit. That's when the real you shows up. And most people will never meet that version of themselves because they tap out before the introduction. They quit before the suffering can do its job. Man, I don't suffer because I enjoy the pain. I suffer because I know what's waiting on the other side. Every mile past the breaking point. Every rep after the body says stop. Every day I keep grinding when I want to quit. Those moments build the savage. That's the shortcut nobody wants to take. They want comfort to somehow make them strong. That's like sitting on the couch expecting abs to pop out. It doesn't fucking happen. Strength comes from the fire. Discipline comes from the grind. Character comes from being broken and still refusing to quit. Suffering is the shortcut because it cuts through all the bullshit. It takes you straight to the truth of who you are and what you can handle. And the truth is, you can handle a lot more than you think. Look, man, time to time suffering feels endless. You'll be in the middle of it, and your mind will scream, this is pointless. This is too much. Why am I doing this? That's the bitch voice talking. That's the weak self trying to claw its way back to comfort. And if you listen, you'll quit. But if you push through, if you stay in the fire long enough, something shifts. You stop panicking. You stop bargaining. You start realizing pain isn't your enemy. It's your teacher. It's showing you your limits and then showing you how false they are. Every second you survive in suffering is a second you're growing stronger, tougher, more disciplined. That's the shortcut. Not escaping it, but walking straight into it and letting it forge you. From time to time people ask, but how do I know when I've suffered enough? The answer is simple. You don't. There's no finish line for this shit. The second you think you've done enough, the second you think you've earned comfort, that's when weakness creeps back in. I suffer every day not because I need to prove something to others, but because I know the fight never ends. Comfort is always waiting, and it's always ready to drag you back down. That's why I choose suffering again and again. Because every day I pay the toll, I buy myself another day of strength. Every day I put myself in the fire, I keep weakness at bay. That's the lifestyle. That's the only shortcut worth taking. So here's the truth, man. Stop wasting your life searching for hacks and secrets. Stop waiting for a path without pain. It doesn't exist. The only shortcut to growth, to strength, to greatness is suffering. And the sooner you accept that, the sooner you start walking the path, the faster you'll change. It's not easy. It's not pretty. It's not fun. But it's real. And real change doesn't come from comfort. It comes from pain, sacrifice, and suffering stacked day after day. That's the shortcut. And it's the only one that works. Man, people think the hardest battles are fought outside, in the gym, on the track, in business, or against other people. That's surface level shit. The real battlefield is in your mind. Time to time, I remind people, your body will do whatever the fuck your mind tells it to do. If your mind is weak, your body folds. If your mind is undisciplined, your life collapses. That's why so many people lose before they even start. They never take control of the one thing that controls everything else. Your mind is the command center. If you don't learn how to dominate it, it will dominate you. And here's the kicker. Your mind isn't naturally on your side. It's programmed to keep you comfortable, to protect you from pain, to talk you out of any that feels risky. Left unchecked, your mind will make you a coward for life. That's why you've got to declare war on it. Time to time, I hear people say, I can't do it. My body won't allow it. And bullshit. Your body isn't the limiter. Your mind is. Your brain has a governor like a car that won't let the engine hit top speed. It tells you to stop at 40% because it's trying to keep you safe. But safe isn't living. Safe is dying slow. When you feel like you've hit the wall, when you feel completely done, you still got another 60% in the tank. That's not theory. That's fact. I've proved it to myself over and over again. Running on broken legs, grinding through ultra marathons, doing thousands of pull-ups when my body was shot. The body screams, we're done. The mind says, fuck no, keep going. And when you obey the mind instead of the body, you find out what you're really capable of. Man, time to time, your mind will feel like the enemy. It'll throw fear at you. It'll throw doubt. It'll throw excuses. That's normal. That's how it's wired. But the difference between the weak and the strong is simple. Weak people obey the noise. Strong people override it. You don't kill those thoughts. You overpower them with action. The bitch voice says, stay in bed, you get up anyway. It says, quit now, you go harder. It says, you're not good enough, you prove that you are through work. That's how you retrain your brain. Not with affirmations, not with hoping, but with relentless, consistent action that builds evidence. Over time, your mind learns who the fuck is in charge. And once it knows you won't quit, it stops fighting as hard. It respects you. But you've got to earn that respect. Look, man, time to time, life will put you in situations where your mind becomes your only weapon. When you're broken, when you're out of energy, when the world has turned its back on you, the only thing left is your mindset. If you've trained it, if you've built it, you can walk through hell and keep moving. If you haven't, you'll collapse the second things get hard. That's why I train my mind every day. Not just with workouts, but with studying, with facing fear, with choosing discomfort. Everything I do is about sharpening the blade upstairs because I know the mind is the battlefield where all the real wars are won or lost. Man, people want to master everything outside of themselves. Careers, relationships, money. But they skip the one thing that runs the whole fucking show. In the mind, you can stack money, but if your mind is weak, you'll blow it. You can build a body, but if your mind is weak, you'll sabotage it. You can have a family, but if your mind is weak, you'll fail them. It all comes back to this. Master your mind or your mind will master you. There's no middle ground. That's why the savage puts mental work at the top of the list. Everything else flows from it. So here's the truth, man. Stop pretending the fight is out there somewhere. The fight is in your head. That's the battlefield. That's where you either break or become unbreakable. And it's not a one-time victory. It's daily. Every morning you wake up, the war starts again. Your mind will try to drag you back into weakness. And every day you've got to show up and beat it back down. That's the process. That's the life. The body, the success, the respect, it all comes after. First you win in your head, then you win everywhere else. Man, comfort is the slickest assassin you'll ever face. It doesn't stab you quick. It doesn't knock you out cold. It sneaks in, pats you on the back, and tells you everything's fine while it slowly drains the life out of you. From time to time, people think danger is pain, failure, rejection. Nah. The real danger is comfort. Comfort tells you, relax, you've earned it. Stay home, take it easy, you'll try tomorrow. And it feels good in the moment. That's why it's so deadly. Because while you're sitting in comfort, your savage self is rotting. That hunger inside you gets quieter. That fire burns lower. And one day you wake up and realize you've been dying slowly and you didn't even see it happening. Comfort is the silent killer because it convinces you it's safety when really it's a coffin. Time to time, I see people who were once savages fall into this trap. They grind hard, they win some battles, they stack some money, get some respect, and then they get comfortable. They say, I made it. And the second they say that, they're done because I made it as code for I'm about to get soft. Comfort eats away at discipline. It weakens your edge. It convinces you that the war is over when it never fucking ends. That's why champions lose their titles. That's why people hit midlife and realize they wasted decades. They got lulled to sleep by comfort, and by the time they noticed, it was too late. Man, I've tasted comfort, and I know how dangerous it is. After I lost weight, after I made it through hell weeks, after the books and the speeches, I could have sat back. People were already clapping for me when the world said I'd done enough, but I knew that was a trap. Because the minute I buy into that, the fat, weak, insecure kid inside me comes running back. Comfort is his playground. That's where he grows strong. So I stay the fuck away from it. I don't let myself settle. I don't let myself feel like I've arrived. Every day I find ways to suffer, to stay sharp, to keep that edge. Because the second I relax, I'm dead. Not physically, but mentally, spiritually. And that's worse. Look, man, time to time people will argue with me. But isn't comfort the goal? Isn't the point of success to finally relax? That's society talking. Society wants you docile, weak, dependent. They want you sedated on comfort, so you never rise up. That's why the culture sells you couches, screens, food, and convenience. They want you fat, happy, and harmless. But greatness doesn't live there. You can't grow in comfort. You can't sharpen steel on a pillow. You sharpen steel with fire and pressure. Comfort removes both, and without them, you rust. And rust doesn't just slow you down. It eats you alive until there's nothing left. That's the silent kill. Man, here's the truth. Comfort will always be tempting. It'll always be calling your name. In time to time, you'll slip into it. That's human. But the difference is whether you let it own you. I don't let comfort own me. I use it as a reminder. Every time I catch myself getting soft, I slap myself awake and get back in the fight. I put myself in the cold, in the pain, in the grind. Because those places keep me alive. Those places remind me who the fuck I am. Comfort makes you forget. Suffering makes you remember. And I'd rather hurt and stay sharp than feel good and rot away. So here's the warning, man. Watch out for comfort. It doesn't announce itself as an enemy. It doesn't show up with a gun to your head. It shows up with a smile and a soft chair. And before you know it, your discipline is gone. Your edge is gone. Your potential is buried. Don't let that happen. Don't die with a smile on your face and nothing left in the tank. Stay sharp, stay uncomfortable, and keep pushing. Because comfort is the silent killer. And the only antidote is the grind. Man, let's get real. Pain and fear aren't your enemies. They're your training partners. Time to time, people spend their whole damn life running from both. They think the goal is to live without pain and never feel fear. That's weak as fuck. Pain and fear are there to sharpen you. They're the sparring partners that teach you who you are and what you're made of. You don't grow without them. You don't get tougher avoiding them. Every great thing I've ever done came with pain and fear riding shotgun. When I was broken down, hurting, terrified of failure. That's when I leveled up. That's when I discovered the savage inside. If you keep dodging pain and fear, you'll stay soft, or you'll stay safe. And safe is just another word for stuck. From time to time, I hear people say, but I'm scared. Good. You should be. Fear means you're on the edge of something that matters. Fear is a signpost pointing to growth. When I was a kid, I was terrified to speak because I stuttered. That fear crippled me. But the moment I decided to face it, to step into that fear, everything changed. I bombed, I embarrassed myself, I suffered. But that suffering turned me into someone new. Same with running ultras, same with Navy SEAL training, same with every crazy thing I've done. Fear was always there, pain was always there. But instead of running, I learned to fight them. And once you fight them, you realize they were never enemies. They were teachers. Man, pain is the greatest coach you'll ever have. It doesn't sugarcoat shit. It doesn't lie to you. Pain tells the truth. It says, this is how weak you really are. It says, this is the limit you've accepted. And if you listen, you can grow. Every time I pushed past pain, I found more inside me. Pain showed me I was capable of more than I ever thought possible. That's why I don't hate it. That's why I don't run from it. Pain is a training partner who beats the fuck out of you. But every beating makes you sharper, tougher, more disciplined. Without pain, you never grow. Without pain, you stay fragile. That's why I say pain isn't punishment. It's a gift if you use it. Look, man, time to time, people want to negotiate with fear. They want to wait until they feel ready, until they feel confident. That day never comes. Fear doesn't disappear. You just get stronger facing it. Every time you step into fear, you gain evidence. I didn't die. I survived. I'm stronger now. And the more evidence you stack, the less control fear has. But if you run, if you keep obeying it, fear owns you. It controls your decisions, your actions, your whole life. That's why I treat fear like a sparring partner. I face it daily in small ways and big ways until it knows I'm not backing down. That's how you build courage. Not by eliminating fear, but by refusing to bow to it. Man, the problem is most people treat pain and fear like stop signs. The second they show up, they slam on the brakes. But savages see them as green lights. Pain says, you can't go further. And the savage says, watch me. Fear says, don't try this. And the savage says, that's exactly why I'm doing it. That's the shift. That's how you rewire your brain. Pain and fear stop being reasons to quit and start being reasons to go harder. That's when you start building a life most people can't even imagine. That's when you separate yourself from the crowd. So here's the truth, man. Pain and fear aren't going anywhere. They'll be with you until the day you die. But that's not bad news, that's opportunity. Every time they show up, you've got a chance to get sharper, tougher, and more disciplined. Treat them like training partners, not enemies. Spar with them. Fight them. Learn from them. Because if you do, they'll make you unstoppable. Run from them and they'll run your life. Embrace them and they'll build the savage you've always wanted to be. Man, people love to talk about potential. He's got so much potential. She could be great if she wanted. Time to time, I hear it about myself too. You always had it in you. Bullshit. Potential without action is worthless. It's like having a garage full of tools you never pick up. It doesn't build shit. Potential is the most overrated word in the world because it fools people into thinking they're special just for having it. You're not. Everybody's got potential. The graveyard is full of it. Full of people who could have been something but never did a fucking thing to prove it. That's why I don't care about your potential. Show me your work. Show me your effort. Show me the scars and the grind. That's the only thing that matters. And time to time, people hide behind their potential like it's a shield. I could be great, but I'm busy right now. I could have been a pro, but life got in the way. I could have done that, but I didn't want to. That's ego trying to protect you. That's weakness trying to spin failure into something noble. It's all lies. The truth is, if you don't act, your potential means nothing. It doesn't feed you. It doesn't protect you. It doesn't change the world. It just rots inside you until it becomes regret. And regret is the heaviest weight you'll ever carry. I'd rather fail chasing action than rot holding on to what if. That's why I never let potential sit still. I turn it into proof. Man, potential is easy to see, but it's hard as fuck to execute. Action is what separates the dreamers from the doers. Everyone says they want to be great. Everyone says they could go harder. But very few are willing to put in the work when it's cold, when it's lonely, when it's painful. That's why I don't respect talk. I don't respect someday. I respect the grind, the daily actions, the motherfucker who shows up every single day and refuses to quit. That's the person who turns potential into reality. Everybody else is just lying to themselves, hoping the world will believe their story. But the truth always comes out. The proof is in what you do, not what you could do. Look, man, time to time, I think back to how many times I wasted my own potential. Sitting on the couch eating donuts, lying about who I was, bullshitting myself about what I could be. I had all the potential in the world, but I wasn't doing shit with it. And the longer I stayed there, the heavier it got. It weighed me down, made me hate myself, made me resent life. That's what wasted potential does. It eats you alive from the inside. The only way I killed that weight was through action. I started running, started grinding, started facing my weakness. Every action I took chipped away at the regret until one day I wasn't talking about potential anymore. And I was proving it. Man, here's the thing. Potential doesn't guarantee greatness. Action does. And the crazy part, action doesn't even need talent. You can be untalented, unskilled, broken, and still beat someone who's loaded with potential but lazy as fuck. That's how the world works. Effort beats talent every time talent refuses to work. I've seen it. I've lived it. I wasn't the smartest, fastest, or strongest, but I acted. I showed up. I suffered. And because of that, I passed people who had way more potential than me. They're still sitting around talking about what they could have been. Meanwhile, I became it. That's the difference. So here's the raw truth, man. Stop bragging about your potential. Stop letting people gas you up about what you could do. None of that means shit unless you act on it. The world doesn't care about your what ifs. It only cares about what you do. You've got potential. Prove it. Take the steps, do the work, pay the price. Because if you don't, you'll be just another body in the graveyard, buried with wasted chances and empty words. Any potential means nothing without action. And action is what builds the savage. Man, people always ask me, when does it stop? When do you finally relax? When do you put it all down and just enjoy life? And I tell them straight, it doesn't stop. Not until the day I die. This isn't a 30-day challenge. It's not some New Year's resolution. It's not a season in your life. It's forever. Because weakness never dies. That fat, insecure, lying kid I used to be, he's still in me. He's waiting every single day for me to slip. And if I give him an inch, he'll take back everything I built. That's why I don't quit. That's why I don't slow down. The war never ends, man. And the second you think it does, weakness wins. That's why the mindset has to be locked in. Stay hard until the last fucking breath. Time to time I think about death. not in some dark, hopeless way, but as a motivator. Death is undefeated. It's coming for every one of us, and you don't know when. That clock is ticking whether you acknowledge it or not. And when your time is up, the question will be simple. Did you give everything or did you hold back? Most people will die with gas still in the tank, potential still inside, excuses piled up like trash. They'll go to the grave wishing they tried harder, wishing they fought longer, wishing they hadn't coasted through life. That's regret. And regret is worse than death. I refuse to die like that. I want to hit the end with nothing left. I want to die empty, knowing I squeezed every drop out of myself. That's the only way to live without regret. Man, time to time people say, but you've already done enough. You've run the ultras. You've built the discipline. You've inspired millions. Why keep going? And my answer never changes, because I'm not done. As long as I've got a heartbeat, I've got more to give. This life isn't about one big victory. It's about daily battles. And every morning I wake up, the fight starts again. Comfort is waiting. Weakness is waiting. Excuses are waiting. And it's on me to step back into the arena and fight. Success doesn't buy you a free pass. Discipline doesn't last forever if you stop using it. And the war resets every day. And that's why I grind every day. Because I know the fight never ends until death. Look, man, time to time, you've got to ask yourself the hardest question. If today was your last day, would you be proud? Would you die knowing you gave everything? Or would you admit you coasted? That question should haunt you. Because none of us know when the clock hits zero. And if you're living soft, if you're giving half-ass effort, if you're wasting time, then you're gambling with regret. I don't gamble like that. I live as if every day could be the last one. That's why I don't cut corners. That's why I don't coast. That's why I stay hard. Because if death shows up tomorrow, I'll be ready to look in the eye and say, I emptied the tank, motherfucker. I didn't hold back. That's the standard. Man, here's the raw truth. Staying hard doesn't mean you don't get knocked down. Life will break you. You'll fail, you'll lose, you'll fall apart at times. That's guaranteed. Staying hard means you don't stay down. You get back up no matter how many times you've been hit. You keep moving when everything in you screams stop. You refuse to quit even when quitting looks easy. That's the difference. Weak people think staying hard means being perfect. That's bullshit. Staying hard means being relentless. It means refusing to stop until you're buried in the ground. And if you live like that, nothing can break you permanently. You'll bend, but you'll never fucking break. So here's the final message, man. This fight is for life. You don't get to retire from discipline. You don't get to escape the grind. You don't get to outgrow the war with weakness. The savage life is a lifetime contract. And the only time it ends is when you take your last breath. Until then, it's reps, miles, suffering, growth. Until then, it's pushing, grinding, bleeding, learning. Until then, it's waking up every day ready to fight for the man you want to be. And when death finally comes, you meet it proud, knowing you stayed hard all the way through. That's the way to live. That's the only way to die without regret. Stay hard.